And this just isn't about last night's game. Look, they lost 1-0, it was half decent, there was times where you thought United could possibly go out there and win the game, but look, it was about the whole campaign, the whole Champions League campaign from day one to last night. United have simply not been good enough and they do not deserve to be going through, and that's it. That's the honest truth, hard reality of United in the Champions League this year. They've just not been good enough. Welcome to the Man United stream. Hope you're doing well. It's Wednesday morning and Man United have been knocked out of the Champions League. We needed a miracle. We knew this going into that game against Bayern Munich. Not only did we have to win against Bayern Munich, we needed the other game against Galatasaray and Copenhagen to end a draw. We were just looking for a huge miracle, which was never really going to happen, but we went into that game hoping that it would. We're going to discuss this game, we're going to discuss the fallout, we're going to discuss Ten Hag and a lot more in today's show, so stick around. Make sure you hit the like button on this video so it gets pushed out to lots more United fans, and if you're not a subscriber of our channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you can keep up to date with all the latest Manchester United news and opinions from one single dose, one single channel. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Okay, so let's kick off today's show with the massive disappointment of United crashing out of the Champions League last night against Bayern Munich, losing 1-0. It was just a terrible game to watch because United did the same what they've done all this season, which is look toothless. They never looked like scoring, never looked like they were going to even ever get past Neuer in the goals of Bayern Munich. It just looked like a crappy performance that we've seen. I mean, I heard lots of people coming out and fans coming out saying, oh, well, they played all right, they played decent, and it was a decent game. United showed up, but they lost 1-0 at home against Bayern Munich. That isn't a decent performance, and I'm getting sick. I am really getting sick of Ten Hag coming out in the post-match press conferences saying that he's happy with the way the team played and there was some positive to take out of the game. No, there weren't any positive to take out of that game. It was rubbish. We lost 1-0. The whole point of playing a game is to win the game, not to lose and then look at the positives. If that is the case, we might as well stop looking to win any game. We might as well just sit around and we might as well get relegated and just think that, look, there's some positives to take out of the game. That is not what we want to be hearing, and especially after we've had the worst ever Champions League run in the history of the club. Now listen to this, United's 4 points from 6 games is the lowest in any Champions League campaign, while the 15 goals they conceded in this group stage is most by any Premier League side in any group stage ever in this competition. Can you believe that? So we conceded 15 goals in this group stage of the Champions League. 15. And we have to be honest with ourselves. Bayern Munich were just coasting last night in the game. All they were doing was just tiki-taki football, relaxing. You could see they didn't care. And they still won 1-0. If they wanted to, they could have moved up the gears and completely destroyed United. But they were not doing that. They were taking it easy. All the players were relaxed. And United were playing out of their skin. They were running, working hard, and that just tells you everything about this United team. And we keep saying it that we haven't got the talent on the pitch. We haven't got the players to compete on the world stage anymore. The players that we have are not good enough to play on that stage and not clutch. They're not good enough when it comes to big games. They can't give you the moments that you're asking for, and they just haven't got the composure on the ball when it comes to these games. We all know that when it comes to the Champions League and Europe, it's a complete different ball game. It's not the same as the Premier League. You have to play a different style of football. You have to be a lot more laid back, a lot more composed. You've got to learn to keep the ball, and United were just terrible throughout this entire campaign. And this just isn't about last night's game. Look, they lost 1-0. It was half decent. There was times where you thought United could possibly go out there and win the game, but look, it was about the whole campaign, the whole Champions League campaign from day one to last night. United have simply not been good enough and they do not deserve to be going through, and that's it. That's the honest truth, hard reality of United in the Champions League this year. They've just not been good enough to not play well against Copenhagen and not be beating teams like Copenhagen is unacceptable for a club the size and stature of United. To not go and win Galatasaray again is simply not good enough. Forget about Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich was always going to be a hard game, whether it was away or home. We know that. Bayern Munich are a class team with class players in every single position. But the other two teams, United should have won and should have made this a comfortable group. When we first saw the group, we did look at it and think, right, okay, apart from Bayern Munich, we're going to go and win Galatasaray, and we should win Copenhagen, and we should easily qualify. And that was the first initial thoughts of many United fans. No one thought we'd be sat here right now talking about United not even getting in the top 3 positions of the group. Man United came bottom of this group and did not even qualify for the Europa League. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm actually glad that they didn't qualify for the Europa League. I think, I couldn't handle the Thursday night football and just the Europa League once again. It's just embarrassing. I'd rather not play in Europe. I'd rather United just concentrate in the Premier League and get things together there and obviously work hard every weekend rather than having the Thursday night games as well. I think it just disrupts a lot of things. And, well, I think this might be a blessing in disguise for United not qualifying for the Europa League, where they can start concentrating on the Premier League games and get every player's fitness back up to level. We obviously had Maguire and Luke Shaw go out with injuries last night. Again, these injuries, why are they happening to United players only? What is going on? No one knows. Again, it raises question marks on Ten Hag and the way he's preparing his players for these games. What are they doing that's different? Why are these players getting injured and getting injured so much? It cannot now be a simple matter of bad luck. There has to be an investigation into why all the United players, and most of them, are not coping with the stress of this football schedule. Why are they getting injured so much? We need to know. Are they really being trained that hard, or are they simply just not up for the task of playing this much football? Ten Hag, on the other hand, is on very, very thin ice right now. Although we've heard from reports coming out of The Athletic, we discussed this yesterday in our show, Ten Hag is very unlikely to be sacked by the Glazers, and one of the primary reasons for why he's not going to get the sack is because there's a huge payoff involved if the Glazers terminate Ten Hag's contract right now. I think it's 15 million. It's been reported in The Athletic. That is the payoff that Ten Hag would get if the Glazers terminate his contract right now in the middle of the season. What do you think about this? Drop your comments below. Let us know. Do you think Ten Hag should be sacked after this poor performance in the Champions League, the worst ever in the history of United? Or do you think we should just stick with him and go into the Liverpool game and see what happens there, and then maybe end the season with Ten Hag? Now, the other circus going on at United is this takeover of Jim Ratcliffe. I keep saying it's not a takeover because it really isn't. It's not a takeover. It's just simply him becoming part of the establishment at United, joining the Glazers, hopefully having some kind of say and giving them £1.8 billion to have the privilege of having some kind of say in footballing matters at United. That's what it is. He's not taking over. He's not going to have power to overtake the Glazers and override anything that they decide. So right now, as where I'm sitting, where I'm looking at this situation, is the Jim Ratcliffe is coming in and he's going to become a special advisor to the Glazers. That's what all it is, and he might be running a few things, projects in the footballing side of things for United. But I think maybe, just maybe, Ratcliffe and Ineos saw the writing on the wall. They knew that United will have an early exit out of Europe and maybe held off on the announcement after they get knocked out of Europe. Then at least their first initial input to United doesn't look negative and there's no negative news, and they can actually build on what they have rather than being taken over, being announced, and then they get knocked out of the Champions League. That's not exactly a good start to their Premier at United. And that's probably why we haven't had an announcement of Ratcliffe becoming part of United and taking over that 25% minority stake in the club. That could be a reason for why we haven't heard anything just yet. But I think maybe in the next couple of weeks, I think it might actually be announced. We know that Ten Hag will have the rest of the season to prove himself, to make sure United get into the top 4 spots and get into them Champions League spots. And if he doesn't, he'll get the sack. And if he does, I think he'll survive. And that is it. That's what the Glazers look for. The Glazers look for Champions League because they get huge amounts of revenue from the Champions League and qualifying, and that's what they want. Their business model is made up of that. And if United do not qualify for the Champions League, they're going to suffer huge financial losses, and the Glazers will not be happy, because one thing they do not like is suffering financial losses. Make sure you hit the like button on this video. Make sure you subscribe. You're watching the Man United Stream channel, a channel by the fans for the fans.